All
All
right,
right.
here we go.
Johnson,
check-
where are you at? Sitting on the side of the road somewhere?
Tifton, Georgia. I got delivered tomorrow morning at 6:00.
Gotcha.
So staying busy, just grinding.
Staying safe?
Trying to. Actually, I gotta hit my hands with some sanitizer right now.
I'm talking to Johnson, and then we disappear.
I'm back. We're back. I had hit the reload.
We still got Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Johnson.
Johnson, where are you?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Can you guys hear me? Everybody?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're quieter, but we can hear you.
All right, yeah, I put my phone back on stand. I had to get the hand sanitizer out.
I lost Johnson altogether.
Did you?
Yeah, and Jeff's big again.
Let me refresh.
I was able to see all three or the two of them before.
Johnson, log back out and back in again. That worked last time. Let's do what worked last time and hope it worked this time. All right, everybody, we're live. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody can see us. We're gonna.
There he is.
Here he comes back. All right, Johnson, do you hear and see everybody?
What's up, buddy?
Yep, I can hear and see everybody.
So it works. All you gotta do is kick Johnson out and back in.
Nah, I've been kicked out of plenty of stuff before.
They said you're sanitized. we got some comments going.
Yeah, I just went into the store about 20 minutes ago, like right at the end of Jason's show, and went in and got some food, and I forgot to sanitize my hands. I got back out here. I just sprayed this thing down with some desanitizer.
So how's the road treating you right now, man?
It's not bad. Everything's still running pretty good. Prices are, kind of even. They're not really. Sorry, putting stuff up.
Have you been seeing a drop in your gas prices at all?
Yeah, gas prices are low, but for us, it really doesn't do anything because when gas prices go low, the brokers just pay less.
Yeah.
When gas prices go high, brokers pay more. So, but it evens out with whatever the gas price is.
Yeah.
So we don't usually make out on the deal. They make out, and we just are stuck driving trucks. It's a thankless job until people need you, like right now. And right now they need us. So, Everybody thinks truckers are great. But when this coronavirus dies, we're just going to be a hazard in the middle of the road again.
And Johnson's doing his best to quarantine himself right now with the bottle of Jack.
That one looked like it hurt.
Yeah, it did.
Well, Jeff, welcome to the show, man. I've been trying to get you to come live with us for a while. All you got to do is bring up 90s music, and then Jeff's like, hey, I'm in.
Yep, I'm in. Let's go.
So, all right, guys, I want to go around first. I want you guys to tell me who your favorite 90s artist was. Jason, let's start with you, man.
You know what? I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I touched on it. I had the most fun with Gary Allan, and his first couple albums were probably some of my favorite from that era because that was straight up honky tonk shit.
So, all right,
Johnson,
what about you?
Like I was all over the Garth Brooks stuff growing up, but like the one CD that was always in the truck that like never came out of the CD case. You have like the 6 CD thing on the visor.
Yeah.
The main CD that got played was Clay Walker's original album, the very first one.
That's a good one.
That's 90s country to the bone,
that's
man.
A strong call right there.
Yeah, like that album was pretty good. Like I might still have it in a CD case somewhere in a storage unit. I got like 4 of them. So who knows? I'm looking for it right now. Yeah, 97. Rumor Has It.
Rumor Has It.
Yeah.
Clay Walker was the big single off that one, or was like the big hit? That was before Watermelon, right?
Then What?
Whatever.
And,
Rumor Has It was pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Then What?
Then
What?
What?
Title
That's
cut.
what I was thinking of. Then What? That was I remember there was one that was like catchy like that.
Dude, his big one was before that. It was If I Could Make a Living Out of Loving You.
Yeah. Then Hypnotize the Moon and Only on Days That End in Y. Like that was the 95 album.
was trying to get my iTunes to pull up so I could play some clips of different of these songs, but
Dude, you're gonna get us shut down again. Don't do it.
as long as I keep it under
Don't
7
even-
seconds.
Yeah,
Don't even do it.
Yeah, here's
Apparently, it was funny as I went upstairs to take my break, and apparently everybody got notifications that we were shut down by Sony. Because Jillian's like, yeah, I got a notification on my phone that Sony shut you down. I was like, oh, great.
yeah.
Dude, they police that stuff in the weirdest ways.
It's whatever way their algorithm is set up. Like, it must have just triggered it right away.
Well, I
I
remember I posted 2 videos from. God, we didn't even get to talk about it, but I mean, my favorite church show is the Ohana Show, and that was right before Desperate Man came out.
Mhm.
And I posted a video of Hippie Radio and Drowning Man because it was the first time he had played those 2. And UMG Nashville removed my videos from YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah.
They will.
But
yeah, right away.
there's
It's
thousands of videos him playing those songs, and they're everywhere. But mine got pulled down.
Well,
That's part of the reason Ashley doesn't want people recording her videos because they're just going to get pulled down and she gets yelled at.
Well, Ashley, went to her shows. Well, I mean, the way that we could go into filming videos and everything like that, but I think it's all going to change. I mean, you guys saw the pouches that they were using. I really hope they don't go that route. So, Jason, I don't know if you saw these, but they're starting to use pouches for comedian or comedy shows now. So, Dave Chappelle's really big on it, where you go in, you got to put your phone in a pouch. You keep your phone on you. You don't give your phone to anybody. You keep it with you. But if you need to use it, you have to actually step out to the lobby, and then they unlock it.
That's such a weird twist because I know there's a lot of comedians that live off of YouTube, and that's how they get a following. But certain shows did that. I know when GNR got back together, and they played that show at the Troubadour.
Yep.
Everybody was supposed to put their cell phones in, but of course, there was 1 or 2 videos that snuck out of that show. But hopefully they don't go.
Like giving somebody a cell phone, and say, "Hey, you're the guy that I wanted to leak a couple videos or whatever," maybe like that. I don't.
Yeah, I ain't putting my phone in any pouch.
Would that keep you from going to a show? If
yeah,
you had to?
100% it will.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, it's going to happen, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I won't go.
I could see comedians. I can see comedians that do like big Netflix specials because they like the tour and then they'll put the Netflix special out. But once the Netflix special is out, that's their entire set. I mean, if you go see them anytime after that, you're going to see the exact same thing you saw on the special. So I know they don't really want to leak that before like their special comes out. So I can see like Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle doing stuff like that. Whatever. I kind of like not having a cell phone, but not concerts, man, because some of your best memories are captured with you and your buddies, like just with your phones.
Yeah, I think it's different with the concert, with the music world, though, because the music world lives on the experience live. Yep. Like the comedy world, like once the joke is out, the joke is dead. It's no longer funny.
Yep.
Like it's still funny. It just doesn't hold the punch that it does. Songs come out all the time, and live music is about the show. It's not about the song. So I imagine concerts aren't going to go. Could you imagine how expensive it would be to come up with like security, like metal alarm security pouches for 15,000 people in a stadium? Like that's not going to happen.
Dude, it's going to be insane. I mean, I can see like a 2,500 seat venue or theater or whatever or less. That's a little bit easier. But like when you're getting 15,000, whatever, you're trying to confiscate every single phone. That's why, because isn't this Rogan Chappelle show in arenas?
Yeah, it is.
So they're going to be confiscating thousands upon thousands.
Yeah, good luck.
They don't confiscate. You check in.
Yeah, you check in. Yeah.
Yeah, if I don't have access to it, it's essentially confiscated. If it's locked, so I can't get to it. So I won't.
Instead of boob jack and crotch jack, it's going to be boob phones and crotch phones now.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
That's true.
That's a good. That's it right there. That would be horrible for Taylor.
It would, man. She wouldn't know what to do with herself at times.
That would crush her soul.
So Jeff, who was your favorite in the '90s, man?
Brooks and Dunn, baby.
Brooks and Dunn. That was your go-to, huh?
I mean, there's a lot of them, to be honest. Gary Allen, I've known Gary for a long time, so Gary was big for me, but it's and he ties into Kendall for me big time, just from the songs Kendall wrote for him. So he tied in then though. He was big. My brother loved Gary growing up, and it was a big deal for me. But
yeah,
when Chris called Clay Walker, that's another one, man. There's just so many 90s country.
yeah. And I'm gonna pull out the ultimate one. My favorite was definitely Billy Ray for the '90s because the connection I had. My mom was obsessed with Billy Ray, and she would take me to all these shows. I probably saw Billy Ray 100 times before I ever saw Church 100 times. So, and that it's so weird now seeing a Michael Joe as Eric Church's guitar tech when Michael Joe was Billy Ray's guitar player. So that's crazy just to see that, but I have to go with. And I always say, if you guys want to hear a good Billy Ray, after Some Gave All before Miley, or after Achy Breaky before Miley, though in between there, you're gonna hear the best.
He was strong then, man.
Dude, Storm in the Heartland, Trail of Tears, those were the albums.
Yeah, those were good.
And they get lost.
He only had one song.
Yeah, see, but his best stuff just gets lost, and because then you think of that one song and the two songs now, and the whole thing just wipes it away. At least he's not a one-hit wonder anymore. He had 2 hits.
That's true. Yeah, I pulled up this Clay Walker, this first album he had. It was If I Could Make a Living and This Woman and This Man. That's what it was.
This woman, man, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Dude, that CD stayed up on my visor literally all the time. It got played like insane amount of times. That was up there with Nirvana and with Pearl Jam, and I think I had Outkast up there too. Like I was all over the map when I was younger.
Oh yeah, for sure. Mine was like Silverchair. I don't know why. I was a huge Silverchair fan when it came to that stuff.
Yeah,
Dude, there's so many. Can we have like guesses 2 and 3 now?
Yeah, right. We can go back around. We could go back around again. I was gonna bring up though. Let's go back around and talk about like our Joe Diffie song. Like, what's one song with Joe Diffie that you just were crazy about? Like your favorite song? What about you, Jason? Do you have one that you picked out?
Oh man, he's got so many good ones, but there's 2 of them actually, and it's Third Rock from the Sun was such a great song.
Yes.
For radio because it was fast and it was upbeat and it was great for afternoons when I was working. But there was a local band a touring band that came through, and I loved Bigger Than the Beatles. And I never saw Diffie play that song live, but when they would play Bigger Than the Beatles, when they got to the chorus, they would break out into Beatles tunes and then roll back into Bigger Than the Beatles. Which was awesome. So those are probably my 2. I mean, there's too many good songs to name, but those are my 2.
Yeah, he had a bunch of hits, but the two deep cut ones that people will know, but they're not at the top of everybody's mind is Ships That Don't Come In and Home. Like those 2 songs are great.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal.
That's I'm obviously and songwriting is my thing, and Ships That Don't Come In, that's it. That is the song for him, and as a songwriter and as just a perfect song. That's it. That's a country freaking song.
That's pretty good. Remember he did what was that song too? Honky Tonk Attitude. Like that song.
Honky Tonk Attitude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, people forget how many songs he had.
I gotta go with A Night to Remember, dude. I love that song. That's one of my best Joe Diffie. I love Ships That Don't Come In. I was gonna go with that one, but Night to Remember was because that's just like you could pin it to so much things. It's like music. I mean, people look at songs in different ways all the time, and of course he's putting the pictures out of maybe like an ex or a lost loved one, but then you think of like your grandfather or somebody else, and you just kind of want to go back and just like have one night where you're remembering something that was so important to you. And that's the way I look at that song. That's why I love that song.
You guys know what he did in the 80s?
Oh, Diffie?
Yep.
What was he doing?
He was a session
Got to
singer.
be something with John Deere tractors, dude.
No, well, he was a session singer.
Oh, okay.
Session
For
singer.
for different artists and stuff.
One when he first started releasing stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I really didn't dig into Diffie until I want to say I was like 8th grade because I had a buddy. His name was Chris, and he was dating a girl named Charlene, and I was pissing him off all the time. I would sing that fucking song to him, and he hated country music. And I think I remember it was like 8th grade because once freshman year came, he went to a different high school than I did. But yeah, we'd always piss him off singing "Everybody Loves Charlene." Everybody didn't love her though, but
yeah, he had a lot of good songs. I'm scrolling through them right now. So
we
hit all the big ones.
Yeah, there's a couple good ones. Jason, did you have any other ones by him?
I mean, he had all those. He was I think he was underrated when it comes to other artists.
Mm-hmm.
There was another guy that was big, and it's crazy that a bunch of videos have been popping up on Facebook with the two of them. And I actually saw one with Diffie, Tracy Lawrence, and Mark Chestnut. But Mark Chestnut was another one who was. I mean, there were a lot of guys that just put out hit after hit, and they were just good songs.
Don't get me started, Mark Chestnut though, dude. Almost Goodbye was my song, dude.
Yeah, those three guys kind of fly under the radar, and add Tracy Byrd to that, and add John Michael Montgomery to those five. They flew under the radar, I think.
Well, didn't they do a big tour too? Those 3 or 4. Wasn't there a big tour a couple years ago? It was like Diffie, Tracy Lawrence, Tracy Byrd, all those guys or something.
Yeah, there was some a couple years back. So those guys are way underrated. The influence they have over the music today, like you probably can't tell it unless you go back and listen to it, and then you can hear it.
Those 5 guys are the 90s roadmap to what 90s country was.
Do you think anybody's bringing the 90s back at all right now? Or who do you think is coming close to it?
No. Riley has a little bit of that.
Riley's doing a good job.
Yeah, Riley's got a little bit of that.
You think anybody current
Crawford
right now?
and Power are starting to get some songs they got a lot of 90s country lace to them.
Who was that?
Crawford and Power.
Okay. Jason, who are you thinking?
Oh shit, what's his name? Dude, it's the Tiger guy, dude. He's totally 90s country. Or at least whoever sang for him, on his albums was I honestly can't answer that because I don't listen to a ton of country radio, and I mean I'll kind of watch like some of the podcasts that I'll go back and listen to. I'll pick up artists here and there, but I don't listen to a ton of radio. So
I mean, honestly, if I have to, I know Johnson's gonna hate this answer, but I think Luke Combs is probably coming the closest to me for the 90s more pop side, but like live when Luke was still playing bar shows and he would throw in the Brooks and Dunn cover like middle. I would feel like he would take us back to the 90s at that point. I like that part of the shows. I know now it's kind of getting a little out of hand, but
Luke is more 95 and up 90s country, and Riley's more 95 and back 90s country.
Okay, I definitely see that. So you're saying he's more Randy Travis, Vince Gill, like that old school. I mean, that's like my mom was a huge Vince Gill fan. She was Vince Gill and Billy Ray. So
yeah, he's right in that fast-paced 90s, mid-90s country. He's right in that ballpark.
John Party's definitely has some 90s feel to it. Whoever made that comment.
Yeah, who made that comment, Shriver?
Let's see.
The John Party comment.
I'll have to log out and log back in and see because I don't know.
All right. Don't worry about it. We'll
see. Not on this thing. I'm on my phone, so let me look and see because like it only says all that. Jeremy Cole.
Yeah,
good call because he's definitely 90s country.
Yeah, Party's definitely got some of it. I remember when Party opened for Eric on Outsider Store out on the West Coast. It was good.
Where did he open for church?
Where was it? Here too in Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah, it was. Where was it? Omaha? No, not Omaha. I'm trying to think now.
He
God,
played.
we got a great show, and you talk about another guy who's
Idaho.
like honky tonk to the core. We had Hailstorm played 5 songs, and then Dwight Yoakam came out
Yeah.
and tore the stage up.
I knew you were gonna come out with some Dwight Yoakam. Yeah, that was cool. Church nailed it on that tour with those openers. I mean, that was a phenomenal. I didn't have Hailstorm. We had Drive-By Truckers and Dwight Yoakam, that was cool.
I had them a few times. I'm trying to think. How many people did I have? I have to go back and look. I probably saw like 6 or 7 different openers, 8 different openers
on that tour.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, it was cool how you're swapping it all up and everything.
I know I brought that up, but we need to change the subject because I don't want to give Church any ideas. No openers.
Yeah, I hope he sticks to no openers, but you never know. I mean,
that ain't happening. They're all going to be.
Yeah, I think we're getting back to openers now.
Yeah, if he's going back to a stadium, he's going to need a couple openers on that. So
when you start hearing rumors about people's names popping up as potential candidates, you just kind of kind of smile a little bit and cringe a little bit and hope some people work out and some people don't.
Going back to like what do you think this 90s country and whatnot, how do you guys compare Kip Moore? Do you think he falls in more of a 90s category?
No, Kip is his own deal.
Yeah. I think Kip is his own deal, and he's a songwriter first, like Church is, and he's a songwriter first, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. He's going to put his stuff out, and he's going to live with it how it is. I think he's got a mix of a lot of different things involved in his music, to be honest, and some of it's older 90s country, but most of it's just more whatever he's feeling at the moment.
I think it's album to be fire.
Got a lot of Jack Johnson and
Mumford and Sons.
Yeah. Kings of Leon, like a lot of that.
All right, I hear that for sure.
Yeah.
That's part of what makes him great because he brings all that together in his own way.
What are you gonna say, Jason?
There's been a ton of artists have gone live, but out of all of them, Kip's was dude. It was just fire.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Kip's was phenomenal. He did It Ain't California a cappella. It was great. It was so good.
So
I gotta go back and watch the rest of his. I saw about half of it.
Oh, we gotta watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
dude, we had tickets.
He thrives, man.
We had tickets to go see him. He closed that acoustic tour he was on. He closed it here in Phoenix in the middle of December, and I wound up having to sell the tickets. And I'm killing myself, but I wound up in a play with my daughter, which I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. But I would have loved to have seen that because I had tickets center stage, like 10 rows back from the stage, and he played like a 3,500 seat theater here in town, and I would have killed the gone for that show.
Yeah, I had tickets for the show in Tucson the night before that, or was it the night after? One of the two. But I had tickets.
It was the night before.
Yeah, I had tickets for Tucson and for Phoenix. I was going to make it a weekend out there, and I ended up having to cancel because I had trucking problems, so I couldn't get out there.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember you talking about that, Johnson.
Everybody said it was great, though.
So I got to see it in Milwaukee and Chicago when he came through, and those acoustic shows were awesome. I saw Tucker opened up a couple of them. I'm like, damn, I think Pittsburgh was one of them. I'm like, man, Kip and Tucker together would have been badass, like acoustic like that.
Yeah, he had Muscadine and Bloodline at a bunch of them, and that was really good too.
I saw him with.
Yeah, he had a pretty good lineup for that whole set, that whole run.
Yeah,
the first one I saw, Charlie Worsham opened up, and the second one, Muscadine opened up.
So, yeah, you want to talk about an underrated musician, Charlie Worsham. Whew.
Yep.
That guy. Whoa.
That guy's something else.
He needs to get our chance and our shot out there because I think he got screwed on his last deal he had for sure.
Yeah, him and Daniel Donato, those two guys, they're insane.
I was like, did someone just kick a garbage can?
What was that?
No, it was somebody opened the door to the shop and the whole back wall rattled.
I was gonna say, Jeff, check on your wife. She might have ran into the house.
I would say Johnson was knocking on the door. No.
For people that are watching and wonder what that joke's about, I always make fun of Jeff's wife because she's the most impatient driver ever. Like, she can be going 75 down the highway tailgating somebody and be mad because the person's going too slow in a 60. Like,
you know,
like she's insane. So I
you know who else
make
is
fun of her
exactly like that? Bill Yantz.
Oh yeah, Bill Yantz is insane. He goes 100 miles an hour in a 60 and doesn't care.
No shit's given. We were coming back from Omaha on the Double Down tour in the middle of an ice storm, headed back to Kara Tara's house. And this dude's like doing like 90 on the freeway, and it's like a sheet of ice. And everybody else is like pulled over. Like, he's in a minivan, dude, like a soccer mom vehicle, just trucking at like 80 or 90 and like, just skating by.
So yeah, speaking of that, man, church is not allowed to open in Nebraska in like December or January anymore, because we went back for the Holding My Own tour, and I don't know if you remember this, but he played. It was he played Friday. He played Friday there, and there was an impending ice storm that blew into town that Sunday. We didn't even know if we were going to be able to fly out, and then for Double Down, I was talking to the manager of the hotel where we stayed, and he's like, you guys are going to love it. It's unseasonably warm. Temperatures are great here. And we get on the airplane, and we were delayed flying in because of weather, and they were shutting down schools. And then, we were, that storm hit, and they shut the airport down. So, yeah, he's not allowed to open in Omaha anymore because of weather.
Yeah. That was the thing he was doing before. He was always like touring Canada in the wintertime and like Arizona in the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody plays outside here when it's 112 degrees.
Yeah, I don't understand. When we're in Florida, like, we always have summer shows, but we don't have anything during the winter. Come play during the winter when it's 60 degrees outside during the day. Like,
right?
Yep.
It's like that all the time here. It's insane.
Chicago used to need bulletproof vests for outdoor shows.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I mean, that place is a little crazy.
Hey, the coronavirus actually lowered the death rate here, so we're pretty good.
That's true. I'm wondering what the unintended consequences of being sheltering in place is going to do. Like, less people will die with the flu, less people will die from car accidents, texting, like all these different things. There's going to be a positive impact from it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It sounds like we're going to take all of 2020 off. So,
who's going to quantify that stuff, Chris? I'm sure somebody will. Some college somewhere is going to quantify all of that. They're going to look at all those numbers.
Yeah, I'll definitely quantify it, but it'll take 2 years to get all the stats in through FBI and DOJ and CIA, all that stuff.
Before they release all that information.
Yeah, it'll be good though. We're gonna keep talking.
I definitely think there's definitely a correlation there.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think? I mean, I know we got off a little bit off our subject of 90s music and everything. What do you guys think that this whole thing will do to live music? And I know I touched a little bit about it on the main show, but once everything gets up and going again, do you think we're gonna see something different with live music at all, or what?
Nothing.
You think everything's going to pick up right where it left off?
Like what could they do? Well, the industry is going to be slow depending on how long people are going to be out of work. So it's not going to be expendable cash. And depending what the economy does, bounce back with jobs. If it bounces back really quick, then it'll be fine. It'll take 6 months to get back up to flow. But as far as the actual in-venue part of it, it's going to be exactly the same.
I disagree a little bit, and here's why. The people that don't care about this virus, the younger generation that want to go to the beach and crap, they don't necessarily have the money. They're not going to have the money to go to shows, this and that. And the older demographic that's a little older than us aren't going to go out to shows because they're still going to be scared. It's just the makeup of the difference in the brains. And the other thing is, you're going to have venues that aren't going to be able to afford to pay as much to get somebody to get, you know, middle of the road artists out there, and artists are going to get cut out. The lower tier artists are going to get cut out, and then your middle tier artists are going to drop down in payment, and it's all going to have an effect all the way down. Your up and coming artists right now, they're 3 or 4 years out minimum. Like it's going to have an effect. There's no way it's not, because the money's not going to be there right away. It's going to take 6 months to a year to get the money all back to where everything's going right.
Unless the government pumps out
maybe the money won't.
Insurance is going to be more expensive. The insurance policies are going to be written different. Like every show of significant size has an insurance policy written on it. It's all going to be different.
Yeah, but like what? Like it won't. See, everybody keeps telling me that, but it won't be any different. The only thing they'll have written in it is a cancellation due to a worldwide pandemic, and it'll exclude them from having to pay the original down payment that they paid to the artist. But if this is going to do anything as far as the money with the artists go, it's going to bring it back into, like, it's going to bring it back into grasp. So, like, the artist salaries, not salaries, but their, you know, whatever they sign when they're going to go play a festival or whatever, like, their numbers have gotten so out of the ballpark. There's no reason Eric Church playing, you know, a country thunder or Tortuga Music Festival, he should be getting paid $1.5 million a night for an hour.
No, I agree with you there completely. But the thing is Eric Church, for instance, is he gonna acquiesce and go down to 750,000? Like,
he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, I agree.
I understand that, but does that limit the amount of shows that are done, or does that, like,
I mean, you're not talking about touring, because touring is completely different than, you know, like the festival and like the random one-offs, like those big tours, those Live Nation, like AEG big tours, like that's completely different system, because the whole label like puts out the budget for it, and all the money's already set aside. So that's completely different ask than like just the regular shows and stuff like that. Like, I do think you are right. Like, I do think the numbers are going to come down, and they're going to come down to more reasonable. Like, I remember somebody telling me that Luke was getting $50,000 a show, and that was when he was still playing bars with 200 people. He's getting $50,000 a show. That's insane.
Yeah. No, yeah, all the numbers are all skewed. They're completely skewed, and that's why tickets go from $15, $20 all the way up to $50 real fast, like $100 real fast. It's because the numbers are too skewed. But
Jason, what do you think? You think you're going to see any kind of change out on the West Coast with this?
Coachella. I mean, Coachella, Stagecoach, for example. I think a lot of these people that just canceled and pushed. You guys were talking about insurance policies, but nobody had, you know, global pandemics and things like that where they couldn't, for safety reasons, couldn't put on a show. That's why all these people have, like, they didn't cancel the show. They've postponed them, and they've just put them off because they didn't have that written in, and they can't afford those festivals can't afford to just refund everybody's money and give it back to them. So insurance is going to be different. I mean, I think the thing I'd like to see the most is if the artist fees are going to be dropped, you know, if they're going to be driven down, I'd love to see ticket prices come down, because some of this shit just getting out of control.
Ticket prices are going to come down,
and some of your smaller ticket brokers are they're gonna be gone. Like, there's not going to be anything for them. Like, they're going to get pushed out just by the prices going down.
Yeah.
I think it's like StubHub, all those places will get hit hard for sure.
Yeah, Jason's right. Like, they postponed it because they can't afford to pay these guys, you know, 50% up front and then 50% at the show or after the show, or 30 days, net 30 or whatever. They can't afford to pay, you know, Billie Eilish, you know, $500,000 to play the show, and it be canceled and lose that money. So they're obviously going to postpone it. And as far as the insurance policies go, there's probably going to be something written into it, and it's probably going to be a little bit, you know, more expensive, but it's not going to be much, because you can't go charge a premium for something that's only happened once in the history of forever.
Yeah.
Like, since these things have been going on, this has happened one time.
Mhm.
So that's not going to be the new norm unless it
Well,
happens
the
next year.
I know, like the
Then
convention world.
I kind of have a disagreement on that part of it, Chris. And the reason why is if you look at McDonald's and the stupid woman that drove through the drive-through and got coffee and spilled it on her and sued McDonald's because it was hot. It happened one time and it changed the entire makeup of all of that, and like how much you can sue for and all of those things. Like that when major things like that happen, changes come in place and stuff's more expensive and changes are made. Like something's going to happen from this pandemic. Like we don't know what it is, but something's going to change like around all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think we all think something's going to change, but the price that the insurance is going to go up to isn't going to make it so it's unaffordable for us to go to shows anymore.
No. What it'll change is it'll affect the middle artist more than anything. And the reason why, like, okay, so when I book such and such artist, it's $1,000 down payment and $1,000 for them to come out when they get there. So it's $2,000 for a 2-hour show, which is, and I just had to cancel it obviously because of all this crap. That $1,000, the initial payment is gone. Like, and I don't get that back unless I reschedule. So if I cancel completely, I'm out that money.
Yeah.
Like, and the part of the problem with that is any cost they have involved, that money goes out to their label, and then the label pays all the cost out of that $1,000. And then the next $1,000 they get, that's their profit for the show.
Well, they shouldn't have 3 months out. They shouldn't have any cost wrapped up in the show because they didn't even start marketing the show yet.
It's just the way contracts are written. I mean, it's just part of it. Unfortunately, they plan things out. The label does things a certain way, and that's you deal with whatever label you're dealing with. I mean, it's just the way it is. But it's I think some of those things will change too. Honestly, I think it'll be easier to book shows for a little bit once all this is done. But like the amount, like the money's going to change, and the label's taking that insurance policy out on that show, and the those artists going to that show and they're covered and all that will change because the artist will get less money and it'll affect everything else.
Yeah, you might be right about that. The down payment will go down. They might only pay 25% down now instead of 50%, and then artists will have to figure it out from there.
Yeah, it's I don't know what the changes will be. I don't have a crystal ball, but I know from dealing with some of the stuff, it's going to be something's going to change because it has to.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not worried about it. The artists aren't paying out of their pocket like we are, so I don't care about it. Big deal.
No,
deal with it.
Yeah, I want to think like the smaller, like just going down to like conventions and going back to like what Jason was saying. I know there's a convention every year in St. Louis called Trans World, I think it is. It's kind of like a haunted house, like for like the October haunted houses. They always get together, and they actually came on and said that they're postponing for next year. And they said the only way they could postpone for next year is if everybody did not ask for refunds. So they said, let's push it back to next year. And instead of you guys asking for your refunds, we'll carry over what you paid because they've already paid all their deposits, all their down payments, and everything else, like Jason was saying. And if they go ahead and give you refunds, they're in the hole. They're $500,000 gone, broke, because they're not getting deposits back. And they're gonna they said if that comes to it, they're gonna have to go under, and they're not gonna be able to have another convention or be able to do it again. And it sucks to hear like stuff like that, but I think we're gonna see that a lot of that for people that had shows or conventions or anything tied up in this when this happened. Like, I mean, look at these amount of these tours that people just pulled off. I mean, Zach Brown canceled his entire tour. I mean, so there has to be a big loss of money somewhere for somebody there. I mean, I would think.
Not on Zach Brown.
Driver, you're right, because that's why CMA Fest scheduled a date and pushed that date out to next year as a reschedule as opposed to a full cancellation.
Yeah,
it's for that, so they can not have to give so many refunds and things. That's their goal.
if these
I mean-
places have to start giving back refunds, they're going to go so far in the hole. They're going to go under.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
are
big
they?
things, big shows like Coachella, Stagecoach. I mean, they'd be able to absorb artists, but where they're going to get killed and where all the, like what Jeff's saying, I mean, all these other people, if they're refunding everything, they're dead in the water. When those tickets start getting returned, that's the problem. But, you know, a bigger thing like CMA Fest, Coachella, Stagecoach, you're going to have some returns, but you're going to have more people hold on to their tickets for the
Right.
new date.
Right.
So they're not giving that back. And what small amount of tickets do get returned because somebody can't make it, those are going to get scooped up. A prime
Yeah.
example is like the Stones. The Stones were on tour last year and Mick Jagger had that heart thing. Well, they wound up just postponing and moving everything back. I had a friend who had tickets. He was going to go see him in the Rose Bowl and then see him like 4 days later here in Phoenix. Well, he wound up dumping his Phoenix tickets and kept the Rose Bowl for the new date. And they honored those, but you know they sold enough of the tickets that people returned if they couldn't make the new date. But if they just wound up canceling, all of those ticket returns is what's going to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
especially when you pay an exorbitant amount of money out front. Like when you know, if you're gonna, pay $500,000 to an artist to play a show, and then you have to return tickets, then you're gonna be out $500,000. But if you're not paying anything up front and you have to return the tickets, then you're out nothing outside of the radio budget that you set aside to market. You're out no money. You're out money that came in that you didn't provide a service for that you returned. So you're out nothing essentially outside of the marketing. The marketing that you started paying for, which any business like Live Nation is $1 billion business. Like,
yeah.
they can absorb that money, or they can go pull a SBA. Go pull a small business administration loan, and
Right.
get money for it. It's no big deal.
For sure.
So who knows? We'll see. Everything's gonna be different when we go back, but within 6 months of being back, it'll all be the same.
And
On our end, it'll be the same. We'll show up 2 hours early. We'll go see a show. We'll go home. Like for us, it's gonna be the same.
Yeah, spend the same amount of money, same everything and whatnot. But I really hope that like everything does pick up right away after all this, and it's said and done. And people aren't kind of like how Jeff was saying, like scared to kind of go out. Like the older crowd might not want to go out, thinking that maybe this will commutate or whatever and come back next year, or even harsh. I mean, worse than it is now.
I think it's going to be slow. It's going to be slow going. I mean, the only thing we can really kind of relate this to is really in our lifetime is 9/11. I mean, it was everything shut down after that happened. And it was, if you kind of remember, it was slow going. Everything just kind of came back slowly. And everything just kind of started coming back in, and it built up momentum until it got to a point where it was back to what felt like normal. And I think that's what we're looking at here. It's just going to be a slow build, and then it'll be one day everyone's going to be like, it's normal.
I was talking to somebody about that today. How long do you think it took to get us back from 9/11 to get back to, normal after 9/11? Like, do you think it was a year and a half to get fully back?
At least a year. At least 12 months.
No.
I was thinking a year and a half to 2 years before we really got back to full-time life. Like the new.
Well, I mean, you think about it, like, baseball started back up because they were in the World Series and you had all that stuff. But think about like security after 9/11.
Yeah.
And, just all the checkpoints and things like that. It was really stringent, and you noticed it a lot more. But then it was probably 6 months to a year to where things just started. Things started to get lax, but it was kind of more the new normal too. And it just everything just kind of wove in. But it was probably 6 months to a year, I think, before it was just like, okay, this is what we do now.
This is what we do now.
Yeah. I think regular life for 99% of the country was back to normal within 2 months. Like nobody lost their jobs because of it. Like nobody, like we weren't in a recession. No one lost. There weren't millions of people that lost their jobs because of it. Literally, as soon as the airlines cranked up, the airlines were packed full of people. business was running, everything was fine. The only thing that was different was security measures that they were implementing everywhere that we had to deal with. But outside of that, if you didn't fly, you didn't see any of the measures that anybody had to deal with.
Well,
How long did everybody go back to work after 9/11? A week? And everything was the same for you. Grocery stores were open. Walmart was open. Everything you were going to do was back to normal.
Yeah, that stuff all was.
Outside of flying or taking a train or renting a car, like things like that changed. But for the most part, 95% of everybody's life was back to normal a week later.
Okay, well, you guys, I mean, I don't really deal with the stock market much. I know, Chris, you kind of dabble in it every now and then. How long did it take the stock market to come back after 9/11?
Well, I mean, back then I was 24.
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
Like I was a kid. Like I don't.
Yeah, we probably weren't really. That'd be kind of good to see, like, to kind of compare, like, the stock market then, like, how long it really took to, like, narrow back out after 9/11, because I think that's going to really take a hit for this whole thing.
Yeah, I could imagine it took a hit and it stopped and it dropped and, kind of just, like kind of tanked for a couple days. And I imagine once it opened back up, it probably shot through the roof, I imagine is what happened with it. Because back then, remember, like, there wasn't, you weren't right and left and black and white. You were red, white, and blue. Like, so everybody was spending. Everybody was, being with their neighbors and doing everything they could for cops and firemen. And, like,
the country was unified. There's no doubt.
Well, let's hope that happens with this too. I mean, it'd be nice, like, when it comes back, everybody comes back and starts spending money again and everything else. And I hope that's, like, when the government puts money in everybody's pockets, that's what they do. I mean, they're going to pay their bills and stuff with it, but they also are going to put it back into the economy. Yeah, and that's what they're doing against us, right?
Yeah. Do you see a commonality between, like, think about our grandparents, like people, the next generation older than me, my parents and their parents, like, you know how they always saved every penny they could and they buried it in a jar in the backyard for when the Depression came? Well, isn't it funny that we're the adults now, and now we're all talking about the same thing? Like, we're not going to spend as much money. We're not going to eat out as much. We're going to save we're going to budget a lot better, like, save more money. Like, now it's happened to us. And then 40 years from now, it'll happen to the next group.
It'll happen to our kids. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, our kids will go through something, but I mean, we already live in a textbook life. I'm thinking we're seeing some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, 9/11, now this whole pandemic. I was alive. Well, I was only like 3, like when the Challenger crashed, but I still all this stuff. I mean, this is stuff that our kids are probably gonna read about on their tablets, not their textbooks. But
I was in 3rd grade when the Challenger exploded, and we were
I watched it on TV.
Yeah, well, we were outside watching it. I was outside watching it. We lived probably 30 minutes from the coast, and it was a clear day, and you see it go up, and as soon as it happened, we're 3. We didn't know what happened, but it wasn't normal because we'd seen, space shuttles go up before, and whatever happened that time wasn't normal.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think this one might take longer though too, because this is so different now. You can't congregate. You can't go into
Yeah,
it's going to be different. A lot of the entertainment's going to be different as we know it. I mean, this is going to affect.
And you got to be careful, man. Even
TV, music, movies. I mean, this is going to be widespread.
Yep,
and it's going to take a while.
Can you see? Okay, say everything ends April 30th, and everybody's allowed to do whatever they want on May 1st, and all of a sudden everybody starts going to these concerts, and then boom, it just spikes right up again because maybe they didn't have it all the way knocked out like they thought. And now all of a sudden you have tens of thousands of people getting together again. It's starting to become summer festival season now. And maybe that's why these festivals are pushing everything, all this stuff back, because they just don't want that.
I think that's partially why you're going to see it pushed back even past the end of April. I think you're going to see it into May just to make sure this thing is done. Like, I think they're going to push it back one more time. I really do.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me either. But there's a lot of places now that are starting to do their shelter in places longer. Virginia just did a statewide until January 10th. So I mean, that's or not January 10th.
I was like, wait, what?
June 10th. My bad.
I was getting ready to say.
He went
See,
to June,
Illinois just said April 30th.
yeah, this guy did
right
June
now.
10th. So all the way through April, all the way through May, and for the first week and a half of June, that's a shelter in place.
Yeah, well, that I mean, it makes sense though, based on what the experts are saying and shit.
That's why I said my concerts for the year are done, regardless of this clears up or not. Like, I don't want to be around this many people with this indecisive sickness going around. So I'm done until next year, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it at all.
Yeah, I'm out.
I mean, I'm nervous every day. I see 1,000 people a day, but it's like as long as you're safe and you know you're not doing anything stupid and everything else. Like I deal with money every day, so like if I'm not wearing gloves or whatever, after every customer or whatever, every transaction, I'm up to my knees or my elbows with hand sanitizer, just like scrubbing down and like ready for the next person. Just because you never know. I mean, you just
Texas is until 4:30, and look how hot it is in Texas. You know, it's starting to get hot down there.
Well, I mean, Jason, you're out there in Arizona. I mean, do you think temperature is really affecting this at all? I mean, are you guys?
I don't know because I read some stories that the virus is thriving actually in other areas where the climate's 80 degrees and above. So who knows? I mean, it's too new. Nobody knows enough about it. I mean, how many times has the virus mutated that they know of?
Yeah.
I mean, I welcome the heat. I mean, I work outside, and I'm like, no, just wait. You know, what I want to take the cool temperatures as long as we can get them. But at this point in time, I'm like, bring it on, let's go. I mean, we're supposed to be up into the 90s this week, and I'm like, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the 80s here in Georgia today, and Florida is in the high 80s, low 90s.
So even down south in these
you guys are humid back there, and that's just wrong.
You're supposed to be high cases though in these hotter temperatures. So, like, why is that? Is what I'm wondering.
Well, it's not. It's the heat isn't so much that it's like stops the spread of it. It just stops its life when it's not like being spread person to person. So when it's on a steel table, like normally it'll last.
That's where it's going to break it down. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll last 12 to 16 hours. Well, now with the heat will make it only last for an hour. So just because it's hot doesn't mean that you can go rub your hand on it and then rub it on your face 5 minutes later. Like,
yeah, it's still going to take some time.
Hey, Chris, what's going on in Florida as far as like my brother was applying for a job down there, and part of the reason he wasn't going to be able to go down there to work is because he was going to quarantine for 14 days before he could enter the state.
Yep, that's
is that accurate?
That's a thing. Yeah, they're quarantining everybody that's coming in from out of state. They want them to quarantine.
So are you as a truck driver? Do you have to adhere to that at all?
No, I don't, because it's commercial driving or whatever. I don't know exactly what the
gotcha
commercial goods or whatever.
Gotcha.
I know a lot of people are getting these little pieces of paper they got put in their car for essential right now to drive or whatever. I got one now, but living so close to the Wisconsin border, like I get nervous sometimes. Like even like Jillian and I were talking, we sent our kids to my parents' house tonight, and they're gonna be out there till Friday. And we're like, well, what the hell happens? And like, well, just as we sent them out, as we get this alert on our phones today that went off on everybody's phone in Illinois, and it was like an emergency response system going off, begging for nurses and doctors to come back to help battle it. I think I sent you guys a screenshot in our guys chat earlier of it, and it was just crazy because it scared everybody because it went off loud as hell. It's like an Amber Alert. Whenever you get an Amber Alert on your phone and your phone goes crazy, so that's what kind of happened. And like we're like, what the hell? And I look at Jillian, I'm like, well, what if we go on a worldwide shutdown like 24 hours or a state or countrywide shutdown? Like, are we gonna get locked out of our seeing our kids? I mean, are we just gonna send them or no? Because we don't know what the hell's going on. I mean that.
You guys are on shutdown. There's states that are shut down through June, and like I said, we have what's called a stay-at-home warning going right now, but like I said, you can go out here, you can get your nails done, you can go. I mean, there were more people on the road today, and it took tomorrow will be the real barometer of how strict it is here. And I think that's the problem is you've got states that are tackling this hardcore from the get-go, and they'll probably flatten their curve faster than what we're doing out here. Because I mean, we're everybody's making fun of it for what's going on out here. Because you can go online and read what's called, quote unquote essential, and all the four of us could read it and we can interpret it totally differently because it's just so loose, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they have.
You have a Republican governor or a Democratic governor?
We have a Republican governor, so he was handpicked by the Koch brothers. So
I have a theory. I have a theory that
here we go.
If you no, this isn't, but this is serious theory. Like, if you look at the states that are shutting down and really quarantining people, they're democratically ran. And if
what about Ohio though? Isn't Ohio's Republican?
Yeah, but Ohio's governor. Down. Like, it's still business as usual for them. Not business as usual, but it's kind of like what you're dealing with out there in Arizona.
It's.
I just think
Ohio has always had. They've had one forever, but it's not been mandated. It's a non-mandate.
Yeah. I think the faster that they do it, I mean, it's going to suck, and it's there are going to be a lot of pissed off people, but you'll get on top of this a lot faster if you send a broad, sweeping.
Sure, you will.
These are essential. These are not essential. Do it for 2 weeks and see what happens.
You put the U.S. military on control, watching the big cities. You shut everything down for even 10 days. I mean, I know they say 14 days, but you tell everybody, hey, you got 48 hours to get enough stuff for your house. Limit everybody because you don't want to create panic. But
well, I mean, no, you can still go to grocery stores and you can still do that. Yeah. But I mean, I'm like I said, I work in construction. We put in backyards. We put in swimming pools. We put in luxuries. I am not. The way I read it, and I mean the way I feel about it is I am not a quote unquote essential worker. There are people in construction, general contractors that need to do stuff. Like out here, an essential contractor is somebody who works on an air conditioner. Because if an air conditioner takes a shit and it's 110 degrees out here, you can't stay in that house. It needs to be more well defined. That's the issue we're running into out here. It's just too broad.
Yeah, in Florida is the same way. Like if you're like landscapers, like you can still go to work. That's considered essential.
Yeah.
Like in my definition is sorry if your grass is going to be high for 10 days. Like like deal with it.
Yeah, we've had landscapers at our house since it's all been going down.
Yeah, like
so
they should be
here.
Yeah, they shouldn't be essential. Like I mean, they got car mechanic shops are open, which I agree cars are essential, but if you're locking everybody down, how essential are they?
Well, it depends because they did a story here in Chicago and they were talking about car dealerships are still open, like Ford dealers and stuff. But then they said like, a lot of police cruisers go there for maintenance, and that's where they get updated. So but then they shouldn't be selling cars, but they should still have their auto body or their mechanics still there. If the service these emergency vehicles that come in. That is essential, I believe. But a guy in a suit and tie trying to sell cars is not.
So the car dealerships out here jumped on it, and the radio ads now, you can buy a car here without leaving your house. You get online, they do the financing, they will bring the paperwork to you, you sign it, and your car arrives on a flatbed. You can buy a car now without leaving your house.
We have car vending machines in Chicago.
Yeah, we've got
a few of those here.
The Carvana or whatever.
Carvana.
Yeah.
Carvana.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like I don't consider a car dealership as essential, and I honestly, I've traveled all over the country and lived in a bunch of different places. I've never one time seen a cop car getting worked on at a dealership. Never, not once. Ever in the history of ever, not one.
Well, see, in the video that they did last week, they actually showed cop cars inside the Ford dealership, so it was kind of funny. The only reason I even watched this is because they filmed outside of my work, and we all had to go inside while they were filming.
Yeah, Yeah, of course they want to sell that story. So of course there's going to be 8
Sure,
cop cars in there getting worked on.
Exactly.
Normally there'll be
So-
one cop car that gets worked on every 6 months.
But she tried, like the news reporter tried throwing us under the bus, saying that we were misinterpreting essential service, that we're still providing recreational service. But yet they like straight up in the governor's like documents or whatever, it says dispensaries can stay open for both rec and medical. And I mean, most of the ones in Chicago have shut down for recreational, which has helped us out a lot. So it's been nice. We've been busy.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. Like in your world, like recreational, that's not essential. That shouldn't be. Those
I
people
agree.
should be out on the streets.
I agree. I mean, I do agree. I mean, if
Even,
all right,
even me driving
now,
the truck, same thing.
with the shelter in place, maybe not. Like that's cool. Keep recreational open, but if they go to essential only, they should keep medical open as long as they keep pharmacies open. But rec should be shut down for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the things change. So Florida
Yep.
just shut down the borders with National Guard, so
Mm-hmm.
they're stopping people from coming in. I don't know. There's rumblings out here in the truck world that the big companies are telling the drivers to prepare for a 30-day standstill, which means they're going to shut trucks down for 30 days. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but if the big companies are saying it, there's got to be some truth to it because they're in bed with all the lobbyists and all the government anyways. So
what's your gut say, Chris? When you're hearing those rumors, what's your gut say based on being in trucking forever?
my gut says if the truck's shut down for 30 days, that means grocery stores are closing, and it's essentially going to be a free-for-all on the streets of America. That's what my gut says. Now, my intuition telling me on the road is I don't see that happening. I can't see them shutting infrastructure down.
I can't see Trump allowing that to happen with the type of businessman he is.
Yeah, I can't see it happening. But you can start to see the prices of freight is going down. The availability of freight's going down as well. There's not as many loads as there used to be even 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Really?
So I was telling somebody, I took a load the other day that essentially I picked it up Friday and I dropped it off Monday just outside of Chicago. And basically it paid me like right at $100, $130, like my personal money. So like after I paid for all the fuel and the truck and insurance, all that.
Right.
So it paid $100 and something to me, which
You
didn't even
can't live on
cover.
that.
It didn't cover food for the weekend. So essentially, I paid to drive the load up there. So if loads start getting to the point where we're getting cut on our prices so bad where we're having to pay out of pocket, trucks will park. We will not do it.
Yeah. Oh hell no!
You can't afford to do it. I mean,
the big companies might do it until, they operate on a pretty thin line already, but
And they operate via contract. You're pretty much pay per go, right? Like you get paid per load.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean you're not under a contract with a big. We're not getting paid like 60 cents a mile or something like that.
Yeah, but some loads you get, like I got a load leaving out of just outside like Joliet up by Chicago, taking it down here to South Georgia, and like it paid me like $2,800, so it was pretty good. But going up, I made half of that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I still think the darkest days are in front of us. I think we're still about 3 weeks out, two to 3 weeks out from seeing the worst numbers we're going to see.
Yeah, especially with New York. New York's being really crazy right now. They brought that chip in, I know.
Yeah. We have in Florida, I'm looking at the number right now. As of this morning, we had 36, 68 that are tested positive and 77 that have died for it in the state of Florida. So it's like 2%, 2.1%, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's not, when you really think about it, if I told you out of every 100 people that get sick, 2 are going to die, like.
I want to know if they're seeing like
would we
a
be
trend of the outbreak area. So like New York has a big outbreak. Like, I want to see if they're seeing a trend of where it's coming from. Like, is it surrounding international airports, or like where are they seeing like a lot of clusters?
Yeah, there's some of that, and I believe like dense city centers. So Chicago, Detroit,
Yeah.
Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle, places like that.
Jason, are you seeing any places up by you that has like clusters going on or
No, I
no?
mean we've got the most cases where I live. I mean Phoenix has got the most, like Maricopa County that Phoenix is in has got the most spots or the most cases that are reported. But we're so spread out here.
Yeah.
We're upwards of 8-10 million people, but this place is so spread out. It's not like a San Francisco where everybody's right on top of each other, or in New York, or even Atlanta. So I mean, it's growing. Our numbers double pretty much. You can add 150, 200 people, but that's just it's like Chris said. As more testing becomes available, these numbers are just going to keep going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And eventually we're going to hit that peak and we'll go. But it's just people need to stay at home and do what's right, and we'll get through it. The faster, and it's not even, I mean, you got people that are doing the right thing. It's all these yahoos that are, cops. You see the stories. Cops are breaking up parties of 100 people. There's gatherings of 1,000 people. People are going to the beaches. A lot of the hiking trails here in Phoenix last weekend were at capacity. Parking lots were closing. So you got people sweating, breathing heavy, walking up and down a mountain.
Yeah.
And these trails are not big. They're not wide. I mean, you're shoulder to shoulder going up and down. And it's
in Chicago. They had shut down all the beaches, all the walking trails and everything because people were still going out there. Like thousands of people were going out in Chicago, like riding their bikes and stuff. And some of the police are out there patrolling all of that up and down the Lakeshore Drive and whatnot.
Yeah, it's funny that we're people, for the most part, majority of people don't go out and do anything and be physical when they're allowed to. But now all of a sudden they're not allowed to, and everybody wants to be outside.
Everybody wants to go. So
I guarantee you, once all these testing starts coming out, spring break and Mardi Gras is going to come back looking like cesspools for this virus. I bet you.
Oh, they have this thing you can, and they pulled it up where it like shows the map, and you know how like it'll show like the map will be black and it'll show like the cities lit up, with the lights or whatever.
Yeah.
So they took the basically they can highlight, our through our phone activity. So they highlighted all the phones that were pinging in the Palm Beach County, Miami-Dade County, right on the beach.
Yeah.
They took all and you can basically grab the whole cluster. So they grabbed the whole cluster and they said, whatever, like 5 days. So then what it did was it tracks basically where those phones went for the next 5 days, and it was literally spread out all across the center of the country, everywhere from Chicago to St. Louis to Dallas, all the way to the east. It blanketed everywhere, all over the east, and that was just the people that were in South Florida for spring break.
Yeah, and then
I don't know
Mardi Gras on there. You're just gonna do the same exact thing.
Yep.
I don't know what the number was, but like 28 or 18 or something of those people went. They came to Nashville from like Chicago or somewhere, went down to Miami, came back to Nashville to end up, and then went home, and like half of them tested positive for COVID. Like, so those people were here, there, and everywhere, infecting who knows how many other people. Like it just stupid shit like that.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's not going to stop unless people stay away. So.
Yep.
Somebody commented about a preacher going to jail.
Yeah.
There was that video. It's like 300 people in his church live streaming the damn service.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that too. It's idiotic for anybody to be doing that now. It's just stupidity.
I mean, that is stupid, but at the same time, we do have religious freedom in this country. So
yeah, I mean, They should get like a church server, and all these churches are streaming online now. So it's just like I saw a sign that says churches. It's not church is just a building you go to. I mean, the church is everywhere. I mean, and you can have church anywhere you are at.
Yeah, but that's not for you to tell somebody else. Like
Why
that's for
not?
somebody else to determine.
Exactly. I mean, and that's what exactly. I see what you're saying about that.
To you, it's just a building. To that person, it's a holy place of worship. Like,
Well, yeah, I'm talking like a lot of churches were promoting that, saying that we're just a church, da da da. And yeah, a lot of people go to church because that to them is a sanctuary that feels at home, to where they can worship or confess sins or wash away of things that they need to.
Yeah.
And I can see that, but yeah, I mean, and people don't want to live stream a church. They don't feel comfortable doing that, I guess.
I don't know. It's not for me to tell anybody else how to worship. So I steer clear of that. As controversial as I am, I steer clear of that.
You stay out of religion. That's the one topic.
Yeah. For the most part.
Holy shit, dude! I cannot wait to get into a pit line with you again.
I'll steer clear of it. I'll steer clear of it for the most part. Like people that I'm friends with and comfortable with, we'll have talks and discussions and debates all the time. But if I don't know you, like I don't mess with you and your religion.
Yep.
So this is horrible. I'm going to say this, but it was when I finally paid attention in college. I took Religions of the World, I think 3 times because but when I finally paid attention, it was one of the most fascinating classes ever. Because you learned about everything, and it's just amazing. So yeah, you and me are going to chat in the next pit line we're in together.
Man, I mean, I'm all for ruffling feathers. Trust me, you know that. I'll ruffle the shit out of some feathers. I mean, when like I tell everybody, like things get dicey, I'm good. Like I'm comfortable. Like let's do it.
It's just talking, man. It's just talking.
Yeah. So
that's true. That's true. No matter what it is, sports, politics, religion, whatever. It's just talking.
So, how long have we been on here, Shriver?
We're getting ready to hit 75 minutes, and I'm getting ready to wrap it up because I got work.
11:13.
Well, bullshit. Let's get back to some music, man. We strayed way off.
Yeah, let's get to that. Go to music. I can crush music for 15 minutes before I want to go to bed.
I could probably go 10 more minutes before I have to crawl in bed before I have to wake up in the morning. So, let's go back to 90s then. We're stuck on that. I mean, we guys want to talk more about some 90s music?
I want to talk about how great Rascal Flatts was in the 90s. They were amazing.
Dude, that first album was pretty fire too.
Were they around in the 90s?
Yeah, it was in the late 90s when it came out.
It had to have been late.
98.
Yeah, late 90s.
97, 98, something like that, man.
Yeah, when I started going out to country bars a lot, they were a big deal. So, I guess that would have been right about 98, 99, 2000.
Something like that.
Yeah,
they were up and coming.
Dude, there's a ton of them.
Man,
I was gonna Google to see. All right, 50 essential 90. Oh, that's country songs. 10 country artists of the 90s. Let's see. Who do you think? This is the boot.
10 essential 90s country artists.
Let's see what they say.
What's the title?
John Michael.
John Anderson.
Well, normally the boot it's gonna be all So number 10, Martina McBride. 9, Alan Jackson. 8, Reba. 7, Trisha. 6, Tim McGraw. 5, Dixie Chicks.
Leanne Rimes has got to be up near the top.
Yeah. 4, Faith Hill. George Strait at 3. Shania at 2, and Garth at 1. No Leanne at all.
That's frightening. It is the boot, though.
Was she really 90s, though? Wasn't she early 2000s?
I was going to say, wasn't she like 2001, 2002?
Yeah. No, she was straight up mid 90s.
Yeah, she was after Chesney, though, and Chesney was late 90s. He was out like 96.
Nobody knew Chesney in the 90s because he played real country. Dude, you go back and look at the covers to his very first CDs, man.
Cowboy hat?
He had that brown cowboy hat on.
And then, God, there was one where he's wearing white, I think maybe white jeans and a white and blue button up and a white, yeah, dude, straight up country.
That's eerie. I'm on this one website, last.fm, and they're listing 90s country artists, and they have Daryl Singletary and Joe Diffie right next to one another. That's kind of odd.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, this is like I saw that. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's kind of. If you then there's Rhett Atkins right next to him too.
Let's go. Kenny Chesney albums.
Dude, Ricky Van Shelton. That's a name I haven't heard for you.
That's a name.
Dude, I'm like, I'm just going through all these 90s. Hal Ketchum.
That one right there.
That's the one. Look at that, dude. That's a cowboy right there.
Yeah, there you go.
That is not the guy that is selling Coronas and flip flops and
For this guy.
That guy right there. Look at that.
My favorite Chesney songs on one of those albums.
Look at those first four, dude. Those four, they're right in a row.
Those first four, and then let's go 5, and then we start to change.
And that's where it turned.
And then we're at the beach still. And that's the end of that one. Let's scroll over here. Let's scroll down. Let's see what we got next.
He's got a shitload of albums.
Yeah.
He does.
That one's still beachy because he's got on Pua shells.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good album cover right there. That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a pretty good album cover.
Hey, we forgot all about Mindy McCready, guys. Jeez.
Oh yeah, she was good.
She was a train wreck.
Yeah, then she went a little crazy after a while.
I mean, that's the kind of country singer I'm talking about.
that was somebody that had some history.
I mean, you give me someone that has a substance abuse problem and likes alcohol, and we got ourselves a country singer. So I mean, this ain't no Brantley Gilbert bullshit. This is a real country singer.
So I'm on this. Let's see, the best country songs of the '90s. Let's see. Top 25.
Wasn't Gary Allen's Airplanes like the number one song right before Eric's How About You like hit radio? Or Guys Like Me hit radio?
Watching Airplanes? Watching Airplanes was after that.
Was it?
Because I remember I'm trying to compare it to when I first saw Singleton.
Wasn't every storm before Watching Airplanes?
No.
Or was that after?
Yeah, that was after.
Let me see. I'm trying to think.
Look it up real quick. So Watching Airplanes live, Living Hard 2007. So that would put it right around where Johnson was saying.
Yeah, I believe he had the number one song right before, like the week that. What was it? Was it How About You? Yeah. Guys Like Me.
Notable singles.
Right Where I Need to Be was in '99. Off Smoke Rings in the Dark.
Yeah, no, it's further. Yeah, later.
Every storm. When you guys talk about that, was
Herman was in '96. Get Off on the Pain that was 2010.
Yeah, what was Eric's first radio song? How About You, right?
Yeah.
What?
Right? How About You?
Nothing on but the radio was 2004.
Yeah, so it would have been Airplanes would have been
right. Airplanes.
Right when Eric hit radio. I read somewhere that was the number one song. Like that was the song that week, and then the next week.
Well, no, dude. Because all right, Watching Airplanes was released July 23rd, 2007. Sinners Like Me was released July 2006.
Yep.
So Watching Airplanes came out a year after Sinners Like Me.
A year later. Okay.
So Gary Allen's singles 2006 was A Feeling Like That. So October 23rd, 2006, Gary Allen released A Feeling Like That from the album Greatest Hits. And before that was Life Ain't Always Beautiful. Life Ain't Always Beautiful came out in January 2006.
Yeah, I thought I read that somewhere. I was wrong.
So, Watching Airplanes was it was a year after How About You, because that's when he had that's when I first started seeing Singleton open up for him, was around 2007.
Yeah.
And then Gary Allen went to Learning How to Bend and Shiso, California, and all those fun stuff.
He was good, man. Garth was the deal though back then.
That's why you look at these best country things, and they're all
Garth,
good.
Reba, Brooks and Dunn. Brooks and Dunn was for real. So Shawn Michael Montgomery.
Damn, Tracy Atkins has a song in the top 20 of the 90s.
Dude,
Yeah.
he was big in the
The big
90s.
one.
Yeah, he was. Think about how long he's been around. It doesn't even feel like that long.
Travis Tritt, Toby Keith.
Travis Tritt's got some songs, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does. He's got a.
Toby Keith really changed too. His music, his first 3 albums
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toby's
were
first
way
one was
different.
pretty good. Then he went downhill.
Yeah.
I was talking to Jeff today, and I was like, I always like try to compare artists historically to other people, and I said like the current artist that reminds me of Joe Diffie is Brad Paisley.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like
Yeah.
kind of the sound, like the funny, like offbeat kind of songs, like that whole, like even the like sonically they kind of sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about that today. I was like, man, this makes so much sense.
Brad Paisley came out in the 90s right there. He Didn't Have to Be came out in 99.
And he was very, very country when he first started too. He's like Johnson said, he's really changed.
Yep.
Who's that?
Brad Paisley. My uncle gave him one of his first jobs when he was young, over in Wheeling, West Virginia, where he grew up over there. And he was really country until that second album. What was it, Alcohol? Was that the first song he did that was kind of cheesy or whatever?
Yeah.
And then after that, he went south.
Yeah, that was a good era of music, and I always seem to I always recall it better than it was.
Mm-hmm.
But now I listen back to it, and it's as good as I thought it was. So musically, I don't think those guys were better then. I think the guys are better now, but man, sonically, it sure sounded better back then.
Oh yeah. There's ships that don't come in. 85 with Billy Ray Cyrus could have been me at 86 on this top 100 I'm looking at.
That's insane.
So what? Somebody touched on it earlier. What do you guys think about this? Because more and more guys are taking their bands into the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think back in the 90s, studio musicians were huge.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a sound that came out.
You know who played on most of those albums?
Joe Diffie.
The A-Team. The studio musicians were called the A-Team.
Yeah.
And
But
most
you
of
had
those albums
guys
the
that played on
same
every
musicians.
record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. So my brother got to record his song that he wrote called Daryl's Voice, and the A-Team played on his song. Like his initial recording, some of those artists played on his those musicians played on his song. It was pretty freaking cool. I was there to watch it, and that would be pretty freaking neat. They got they were giving his sheet music. It was printed out for him. They were giving it. They left one with one artist, all grabbed their sheets, walked in, and were playing that song perfect, like better than you ever heard anything in a matter of 5 minutes. It was insane.
That's cool.
And most of those guys are the guys that were playing on those 90s and 2000 records.
Yeah.
Just I think being in the scene back then, I think Tim McGraw was one of the first guys that decided, he's like, no, I'm going to take my road band into the studio with me, because I think it was
Doctors or whatever he's called.
Yeah, it was Tim McGraw, the Dance Hall Doctors. I think was the first one where he did not use studio musicians, and he took his touring band into the studio with him.
Well, and I like Eric's starting to use his band now. I mean, he always used part of his band, but he's used tons of musicians. That's why I like.
You can thank Jay Joyce for that.
Yeah, and now seeing like Charlie Warsham and everybody else out with him on this new project, it doesn't surprise me one bit at all.
You know, Ashley's albums, that's why they sound good. It's her band every time. So Jay
Yeah,
Joyce plays on some of. He plays keyboard and stuff on the new album, but other
Yeah.
than that, these albums were her band, her guys. That's it.
God, guys,
I
we
just
look
like how it sounds.
around.
I like how it sounds uniform. It just sounds the same on the album, and it sounds the same on the road.
That's why they did it.
It-
That's why
I don't-
she did it.
Yeah, I hate when the albums sound completely different from being cut. So when you hear them on the road, it'll turn me off faster than anything if it sounds like that when you're playing.
Yeah, and that's welcome to Jay Joyce being a genius.
He's,
You guys know Wheeler that's with Chief Merch. He used to work for Jay Joyce, so that's why I think him and Eric got kind of hooked up. He worked at the studio that Joyce transferred to the church that he transferred into a studio. He worked there and did a lot of work for him. I'm like, man, the stories you probably have. He's just like, the stories I wish I could tell. But yeah, that's where he came from. He came from Jay Joyce's camp.
Yeah, he's Jay Joyce is pretty good. He's about up there with Dave Cobb.
Mhm.
Yep.
I mean, Dave Cobb's a different kind of animal, but Jay Joyce ain't that. But he's pretty good.
Yep, for sure.
Dave
I
Cobb is
agree.
insane. People don't know that name, but that name is
That name's
got a lot of Grammys.
as much as Eric did for Ashley, Jay Joyce did a lot for her as well. Like him being involved did a lot for Ashley as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Joyce is on with Landco still, right?
Yep.
Did he do? He's not doing Casey, is he? Or
Yeah, he did somebody else's
he-
album
He did some of the
this year. I can't remember who.
the one where she won whatchamacallit.
it was her first album, wasn't it? Or no?
No, that was the second one. I think that was the big one.
It was the big album she had that did what real well.
Not Rainbow, the first album, right?
Well, his first big one was 2005. Jay Joyce did Faith Hill Fireflies,
Yeah.
and then Love and Theft, Worldwide Open. I didn't know he did Love and Theft. That's kind of cool.
No.
Little Big Town, Thomas Rhett. This is all 2000.
Little Big Town.
So Church in 2000. Well, that was all. That's all songwriting. Sorry, the first one that he actually produced, Warren Brothers, was 2000.
He did
John
somebody
Hyatt. He did the John Hyatt album in 2001. Well, then 2006, Eric Church, Cage the Elephant. In 2008, 2009, Church. 2011, Church, Emily Lou Harris, and Cage the Elephant. 2012, he did the Wallflowers in the Big Town. 2013 was Cage the Elephant again, Church, Amos Lee, Thomas Rhett, Keith Urban. I didn't know he did Keith Urban's Fuse. That's pretty cool.
I didn't know that either.
I don't know, but he should get smacked in the face for that because that album's horrible.
Yeah. That's why I said I didn't know he was part of it. I wasn't going to go that far, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
2014 was Randy Rogers Band in 2014 and Little Big Town again. 2015, Coheed and Cambria, Church, Hailstorm, Carrie Underwood, Zach. You did Zach Brown Band and Jekyll and Hyde? Did we know this?
which is I didn't know that. That's really weird because that album was a really good album. It wasn't good in country format. It was really eclectic.
No.
Yeah, it's a good album. It's not a country album.
I didn't know he had a part in that. That's cool. Well, then, Brothers Osborne, Pawn Shop, Randy Clark. Then Port St. Joe, Girl Going Nowhere, and Desperate Man in 2018.
Yeah.
Now this out now never will.
Yeah, and but nothing listed for 2019. So
Jeff, isn't he working with Lainey Wilson?
Yes, he is.
That's who I was thinking about. Lainey Wilson. That's who I was thinking about. The girl he's working with now. That's gonna be good.
okay.
She's salty, man. She's I got big hopes for her.
Yeah. I'm saying nothing.
You don't want to drink her, huh?
Oh,
She's the one that just released that WWWD, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
yeah.
That's
What
her.
would Dolly do?
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's probably her worst song that she has. That's the
Yeah, it
bad
Oh.
probably is. She's phenomenal. Like she was one of Ashley's best openers so far. Great with a crowd, like into her songs, like she puts on a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her and Casey Tyndall, man, they don't mess around. Those two girls are bad. So
Yep, it's just a matter of getting people to like female singers, man. It's hard to do.
No, whatever happened. I mean, I know you guys are not Bobby Bones fans, but whatever happened with his female radio thing he was doing? Did it ever take off or no?
Negative.
I didn't know how far it got, or
we don't need to talk about him. I'll lose my mind.
I know.
I've listened to more Bobby Bones in the 2 seconds it took for you to say his name than I have of him in the last 2 years. So
I'll say one thing.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing. If coronavirus happened to find its way there, I'd be happy. That's all.
Well, I know he was trying for a little bit to be an advocate for women country, but it felt like it died out really quick.
Well, probably when you realize that it's not any of the reasons that they think it is that they don't want to play female country music. It's not because guys are sexist, and not because guys don't want to hear it. We do want to hear it. The problem is that radio is marketed to 16 to 24-year-old women. It's not marketed to us.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
And those women want to hear good-looking guys.
They went with Brian.
With good-looking physiques. Play
That's
music.
exactly why I don't listen to radio.
That's what they want to hear. That's what it's marketed towards.
Nope. I agree.
I'm buddies with Nick from Raised Rowdy, and he tries to tell me all the time. They market to the 30-year-old soccer mom. No, they don't.
Yeah.
No, they do not.
They market to the 22-year-old female. That's what they market to. Because that's the spending power. Not because they have the money. We're the ones that have the money. But they market to the people that can go use the expendable money, which they take mommy and daddy's credit cards and spend all the money. That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how the music business goes around. Mommy and daddy's credit cards.
I mean, I'll you know me, I'll say it. I don't think twice about it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So
I have a friend that's a music director for for a big station like in Orlando. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, too bad your music station's bought and paid for when you can't play real country on it. She's like, we play real country all the time. I was like, when you play Cody Johnson or Cody Jinks? And she's like, we've never played either of them. I was like, then you don't play country.
Exactly.
So I tell her all the time, like I tell her, she told me something. She's like, well, yeah, like we have a different song almost every week that's the number one. I was like, yeah, because it's bought and paid for.
Yep.
You're an iHeart radio station.
Yep.
Like they literally own a record. They own a record label.
They don't even program those stations. They get downloaded into their computers.
Yeah. That's what basically she said. She said basically they can play 2 to 4 songs a day that are off the cuff that like they can play if they want to play it. But like everything else is like set in the computer. Like you don't do anything. The songs play at this time and this time. End of story.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and they'll know if you deviate too.
Welcome to iHeartRadio.
Yeah. And that's why all these DJs are losing their jobs, because for the little amount of time the DJs are on the air anymore, they could actually go in the studio and record it their entire week in one day.
Yep.
Like I've heard this about a lot of radio DJs are talking. They'll go in the studio one day, record their entire week. Then all they have is a little intern back there pressing buttons for 20 hours a day or whatever. They don't even really have live. A lot of radio stations are going away from live DJs.
Yeah, it's stupid. So I tell people all the time, like all those number ones, they're all bought and paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not because they're actual number ones. Like if iHeartRadio owns 70% of the radio stations, they also own a label. Every singer that has a record deal on that label is going to have a number one off their album, and it's going to happen every 2 weeks. Like that's the way it works.
Yep.
And people don't listen to me because I'm not a radio guy, so I don't know what I'm talking about apparently.
Well, guys, we just hit 95 minutes on this after show. Yep. So I'm gonna probably call it and get going to bed. So it was longer than our regular show. So this is awesome. It was a good talk. I mean, it was cool. And I want to start doing this more often. Have like kind of panels where we have a topic and we start on it.
We could do this on a Saturday for like 8 hours.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we didn't even touch on any sports. Like,
Yeah, I
literally
know,
nothing.
right? Well, we'll have to see. I think next week I'm planning on another cool little after show, and then we'll have to go from there and see what's going on. But I definitely would love to have you guys back on the after show sometime. I'll give you guys a shout out for sure. But
You know me,
Absolutely.
I'm always in to tell people my opinion.
Yep,
I love it. I love
it
it.
was fun.
Well, Jeff,
Yep.
thanks for joining us, Johnson. You too, and Jason, man, thank you for a great night tonight. Sitting down chatting with you, it was great, dude.
Absolutely. It was fun.
Yeah,
I did not know
it
you
was
played beer
fun.
league hockey. I love that.
Oh, it's the best.
That's what we
You
got to
gotta
do.
go. You gotta go crash into people.
We gotta have like a church choir beer league hockey tournament.
You know who
I'm in.
You know who else
I'm
plays,
in.
You know who else plays beer league hockey? Is Scott Green. He's a big hockey player in Detroit.
Really?
I don't know if I've ever met Scott. I know I met Jenny in Texas, but I don't know if Scott was even there. So
Yeah, you
Yeah,
remember you meet Jenny. You
Yeah,
don't
Scott's
forget that.
Scott's a good dude, but he plays the beer league hockey team up in Detroit, and they play like half the year, I believe.
we play year round down here, but we play at like 11 o'clock at night in the winter because the kids pay up for all the premium ice time. It's tough.
Oh yeah, of course. But all right, guys, you guys have fun. I'm gonna go to bed. I got to be up early. Jeff,
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you
get
a
my
bill
ass
for
done.
this broken screen on my phone. So
I seen that. I wonder what that was.
yeah, it broke because you're fucking ugly.
Oh,
Dang.
Tell,
all right,
I
guys.
like it,
tell your wife I love her. I love you guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
Love you guys.
Stay
too.
safe.
Thanks again.
see you
Jeff,
guys
Josh,
later.
thank you guys. We'll talk soon, guys.
Later.
All right,
See
bye.
ya.
See you. See you,
All right.
Jason.
All right, there we go. Got it all taken care of. You guys are still tuned in. Once again, here it is, like almost 4 hours in, and we're still live. So it was great. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I thank you guys every week for everything you guys let me continue this show. Everybody here on Patreon. Like I keep saying on this show, it's the heart, our bloodline, and I love just having it and be able to sit down and talk with you guys and everything else every week. So next week, you guys saw we had Deb and Greg coming on. I'm really excited. I'm going to plan something really cool for our after show, too. I'm going to try to bring on some other guests that we had in season 1 back for the after show next week. But thank you guys again for bearing with us through the first 20 minutes tonight. I do apologize if you got a notification from Sony. That is my fault. I tried to pay a little dedication to Mr. Joe Diffie, and they didn't like it. So I do apologize, but hey, you never know. You just roll the dice and see what happens. And yeah, we got shut down for 20 minutes. I was able to get us back up and running. So just won't play more than 7 seconds again. But thank you guys again for tuning in for the after show. And I can't believe we went so long on it, but I'm ready to fall asleep and go to bed now. So I'll see you guys next week, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay home if you don't have to leave. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.